Democracy is under attack. Not one day, but every day. And right now. I'm Harry Dunn, and this is Standing Our Ground. We've all been following the roller coaster ride with the Todd Blanch confirmation. Will he make it out of committee? Will he make it to the full vote to the U.S. Senate for a confirmation hearing by the full U.S. Senate? We've been seeing what appeared to be John Cornyn and Tom Tillis grow a little bit of a spine and appear at one moment in time to want to reject his nomination and say that they don't support him. Senator Tillis raised concerns about the Epstein survivors and wanting to meet with them and said that Todd Blanch needed to commit to meeting with them. Now, we've heard how that meeting went from the Epstein survivors themselves. Todd Blanch gaslit them and almost considered them an inconvenience having to meet with them. He dismissed them, was condescending to them, and just a flat out rude a-hole. That's not my words. That's not my opinion. That's the people that were inside the meeting, the Epstein survivors who deserve to be heard, who are only looking for justice. And what a crazy idea to go to the Department of Justice to seek justice. Unfortunately, that's not happening. It hasn't happened. And with Todd Blanch's response to them, it doesn't seem like it will happen. And then we have John Cornyn, who has appeared to raise concerns about Donald Trump's desire for this slush fund, to want to pay the rioters responsible for January 6th, assaulting, beating police officers. Donald Trump wants to pay them. I've called it he's paying a retainer for a mob in the future because I do not believe that Donald Trump is going to leave the presidency peacefully. And now, rioters who attacked police officers on January 6th were forgiven for their crimes on January 6th. Now they have an incentive to do it again. Payments through this slush fund. Donald Trump's going to take care of us. And John Cornyn seemed to have a problem with that. So Sunday night, Todd Blanch put out a memo stating that they're going to be done with it. The fund is dissolved and we'll put it in writing. But you know what was also in that writing? Let me see if I pull it up for you. What was also in that writing, the last part of it, modification, section 8. This settlement may be modified only with the written agreement of the parties. So that means this can be changed over and over again if the parties. Now, you know who the parties are? It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump, because this was this was the settlement to the IRS tax settlement. So Donald Trump and now the Department of Justice are the two parties in this. And you're telling me that we're going to take this at face value to say that, hey, they are going to abide by this and dissolve this? Absolutely not. Todd Blanch is doing this to get confirmed, not because he believes it's the right thing to do. And it's absolutely disgusting. And for one moment, I thought that Tom Tillis and thought that John Cornyn, especially since Donald Trump came after them and, basically caused them to not going to be serving in the Senate next year or next term. I thought that they would have a spine. And then I remembered they are Republicans.
The Ohio congressman under fire, Max Miller, accused of abusing his ex-wife and their 2-year-old daughter.
All right, so this next story I want to talk about is it's another story in the becoming all too common trend of violence against women from elected officials. Ohio Republican Max Miller is accused of scalding his ex-wife with boiling water, holding a gun to her head, and fracturing the toddler's daughter's collarbone. This is what he's accused of. His ex father in law, Republican Senator Bernie Moreno, says that every single time that his granddaughter goes with Miller, he holds his breath for every minute that Miller has custody of his daughter. And yet, Miller is staying in the race. Donald Trump standing by him, Jim Jordan standing by him. They're both calling him a good man. The reason why this is an issue because the deadline, well, several reasons. I mean, he's a violent man and he's an elected official. And then secondly, the deadline to replace him on the ballot is Wednesday. When is enough going to be enough? We went through this. Well, we've gone through it several times, but just most recently, with Eric Swalwell, the disgraced former California representative and governor candidate. And then we saw it up in Maine with Graham Plattner. Now, this is just disgusting. One of the things that I want to make entirely clear, especially being a former police officer, running for office and having being convicted in the eye of public opinion, when you're running for office, that's what counts. Now, obviously, Representative Max Miller is not facing any criminal charges right now. And I see a lot of people like to pivot to, hey, they need to have their day in court. Running for office, you don't get your day in court is every single time you're out in the public. Public opinion matters more when running for office than the court of real criminal accountability. People want to be able to trust you, put their trust in you. And once that trust is frayed and shattered, then what do you have left? What do you have left? Now, nobody is putting him in jail yet based off of these allegations. These allegations are true. He needs to spend time in jail for a long time, throw away the key. His wife needs to be supported. His daughter needs to be supported, and he needs to be held accountable. The thing is, when you're running for office, you don't have the luxury to live a unvarnished, untarnished life and say, on the other hand, I deserve to. You all just look past those things. Don't look at them because I wasn't convicted in any court. The standard for holding public office should be we should hold the bar higher for our public officials, our elected officials, because those are the ones that we put our trust in and day out. Now, listen, I do understand that people make up allegations, people lie about things. They do. They absolutely do. And it's really unfortunate that sometimes good people get caught up in allegations that they had nothing to do with or that they turn out to be flat out lies. I don't have a solution for that. I don't. But the court of public opinion weighs so heavily. And a lot of times people get it right. People get it right. People say, I can judge a person. I know what people's characters, I know people's heart. But we've also seen Republicans fail to hold their members of their party, of their caucus, to that high standards. I do applaud Democrats for always taking the moral high ground, which they should, when and believing victims and believing women. When Eric Swalwell was came out with he was accused of his sexual assault and his misdoings, I immediately withdrew my endorsement of him. And people were saying, why not wait till all the facts come out? Unfortunately, like I said, this isn't court. This isn't criminal court. And he'll have his day there to defend himself. But this is the court of public opinion. And I just withdrew a support of him. Republicans failed to do that. Same thing with Graham Plattner. Thing with Max Miller, he doubled down on it by on Sunday putting out a 20-minute video talking about he didn't do anything wrong. He's providing all these alleged receipts that he has. Um, it doesn't pass the sniff test with me. And I'm urging Republicans to stand up for once, grow a spine, and stand up and do what's right. You have until Wednesday.
Fuck that Fauci guy. He made a shelter in place for like 2 months.
Did you?
No. But he also said we had to wear masks.
And did you wear masks?
Of course not. But then he wanted us to get vaccinated.
So you got vaccinated?
No. But 1 million people died, and it's all his fault.
Hey y'all, this next story I kind of wanted to avoid talking about because I didn't want to give it any oxygen. But the amount of people that have been showing their ignorance, for lack of a better term, trying to discredit who I think is a great individual, a great American, and a brilliant man, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Last week we saw Dr. Anthony Fauci at the U.S. Senate where he was berated, insulted, and just flat out just disrespected by Senate Republicans who were there not to get answers, who were there to humiliate this individual and try to settle some personal vendetta that they had against him. That's what we saw in the Senate. Now, usually, and well, not recently, not in recent history, but usually when you have investigations like this, you want to get to the bottom of things to how and figure out how we can make things better, how we could have made the COVID-19 response better, how we could have prevented, or if we could have prevented the amount of lives that were lost. Follow the science, trust the science, and let scientists do their job. However, that's not what we saw here. And Anthony Fauci knew it when he went there, which is why he didn't engage with them and he continued to plead the fifth. You know what? Honestly, I probably would have done the same thing because they weren't serious about finding out answers there. They were fine. They were there to try to find a gotcha moment, and they were pissed off that Joe Biden preemptively pardoned Anthony Fauci, kind of like he did with me. I have a preemptive pardon against Donald Trump in this administration for testifying against January 6th. Now, why? Why do we have those pardons? We didn't do anything wrong. But these people in Congress, these senators, this Department of Justice that we're seeing, led by Todd Blanch, who was going to be the nominee or going to be the next attorney general, led by Todd Blanch, and Donald Trump are always out to try to find a conspiracy theory. Notice these conspiracy theories only, well, they existed, but they run rampant under this administration. Why? Because they don't want to take accountability for anything that they do, and it's always somebody else's fault, and they want to blame somebody else. Back to Anthony Fauci. I want to thank Dr. Fauci for his work, for his service, for over 50 years to the health community. One of the things, Dr. Anthony Fauci was appointed by Ronald Reagan, and he's worked under every president since, making contributions to AIDS and HIV research, other contagious diseases. He got the Presidential Medal of Freedom by George Bush. Just the amount of work that he's done and is not partisan, he follows science. And that's one of the things that unfortunately MAGA can't get over. Now, I do want to talk about one quick thing is how the amount of people that were talking about Dr. Fauci and saying that he was wrong about the jab, as they've called it, and the virus. I don't think that he was wrong. One of the arguments that I've seen, a lot of it, yes, they said he was wrong, but a lot of people saying that the vaxxers, the people who opted to take the vaccine, were berating and ridiculing the people who chose not to. Now, I'm all for people making their choice whether they want to take the jab. The jab. Referring to the jab because that's what they're calling it. We take the vaccine if they want to or not. I believe in being able to, but there comes a cost if you want to do that. Like the same thing with the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Yes, you can say what you want, you say whatever you want, but those choices do have consequences that come with it. You're able to say it. Um, the biggest problem I have with the people that did not take it, which shows their lack of empathy and caring about other people. Um, the COVID-19 virus killed millions and millions of people, and I just think it's weird that the conspiracy theorists about it conveniently forget about those trucks that were filled with bodies in New York City. The tractor trailer cemeteries, as they called them, they were just stacking dead bodies in there. The amount of people who lost loved ones, it was real. COVID was real. It is real, and people were dying from it. It's not a hoax. The vaccine was to save people's lives and to help limit the spread of it. Wearing masks was about stopping the spread of it. Social distancing was about stopping the spread of it because people were dying from it. And yes, people who got it, they lived from it. Some people did. But you know what? A lot of people didn't. And that's what goes back to the root of this problem where we at now. Empathy is lacking and nobody cares about anybody but themselves. We want to live in a world where we care about our neighbors, but we couldn't even put on a mask. And people were intentionally walking around coughing on people not wearing masks because they thought COVID was a hoax. Listen, I'm not here to argue whether somebody has medical freedom to be able to not take a vaccine if they want. I took it. I believe in science. I trust scientists. You know what? The difference between opinions and facts. Yeah. Facts don't care about your opinions. Facts don't care about political ideologies. Facts don't care about elections. And that's what science is. Science is facts. Science isn't opinions. And the lack of empathy that was shown that wasn't shown by MAGA supporters, not necessarily just MAGA people, but people that lean MAGA, it's just disheartening. And it just speaks to where we are as a country right now. The amount of people that couldn't see beyond themselves because they believe some conspiracy theory, they believe some orange buffoon in the White House over believing science just because it didn't fit their narrative. Thank you, Dr. Fauci, for not prescribing us bleach.